People are looking for something real. God is looking for someone real. Be real. Live from the Be Real Lounge, you're with us in the lounge. Your hosts, Daniel Lewis and Brother Brad Haynes. How you doing?
Doing good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, doing great.
Yeah, a little chilly out there.
Very chilly.
It's
like Dad always says, you know why it's cold?
Yeah.
It's January.
That's right.
That's it.
It's kind of the way it goes, isn't it?
I know. We had a really warm December.
Yeah.
Now we've stepped into January.
It's normal. It's the way it'll go, and it's cool, man. It's nice, the different seasons and stuff, but it's good to be warm with you up here, man, hanging out in the lounge.
Yeah. I'm glad everybody's joining us, and I greatly appreciate the ones that's listened to the older shows.
Yeah.
Straightening up the old YouTube. I greatly appreciate you putting that all together, the powerful messages and the the powerful shows and stuff like that, man, like popular shows, and I greatly appreciate you working with it.
Well, dude, I appreciate everything you do. You do an amazing job with all the artwork and the cover art and the pictures and everything, and just so much, man, that it's just fun working with you.
It is
on it, and like we've never sat down and said, you do this, I do this. We never have done that. No. We just naturally go to certain things, and it all works out, and we both have a lot of fun. So I love doing it with you, man.
Yeah, I'm just thankful, the Lord has given us that ability to do that. We're just a couple of guys, and here we are, just
a couple of schmoes.
We don't have no production studio, but we have the ability to do it.
Yeah,
and it's just it's awesome. It's a gift from Him, and I thoroughly thank Him for that. Praise God.
Isn't it also neat that we both have had some kind of background in it to where He works out all those experiences, and I kind of feel like what we're doing with it, man, is I kind of feel like we're building a wall one brick at a time, and it's just a body of work that we're doing something for Him. I'm completely committed to it, no matter what, because it's neat. We're just revealing this stuff as He reveals it to us.
It is.
And one little brick in the wall at a time, man. He's building something, and I'm thankful to be a part of it.
Me too. And just keep putting it out there, and if they listen, they listen. If they don't, they don't. But I greatly appreciate the folks that are listening.
I do too.
And I hope that they're getting something out of it. If they're in the Word, that's what our aim and our goal is to get you into the Word, not just listening to us. I want to say stuff so profound and so opposite of the world that I want you to get into the Word just to say, Daniel, that isn't true, because it's not in the Word.
Yeah.
That's one of my main goals, is to get you to seek, because it drives me to seek, and that's why I love getting together with you, because we're just a couple of seekers, and we've he's put us together, and I learned so much from you, and
vice versa.
Just us talking, and not just to be real, but just when we're being real together, just hanging out. And I love that, having friends to do that with. But
man, I also wanted to say, right now, there's so few people listening. I don't want the people that are listening that are so few to think like that we're preaching at them. I'm kind of going to a higher place. I don't know. I'm preaching to people basically that aren't listening now, like not the people that are.
I'm preaching to myself.
I kind of feel like probably the people that are like our true brothers that are right there beside us, and we're encouraging them. And I wish, we could do that more, but it's cool. But I didn't want the few people that are to think that we're like trying to preach to them, like, hey, get in line or something. We're just sharing our heart, and it's kind of for, any audience. I have no idea what He's doing with it. But.
And it's a choice. You got a choice whether you want to get into it or not. I just want to share what He's done for me.
Yeah.
By getting into it. There's so much life. There's so much peace. There's so much, all this stuff that's within it. It's the meaning of life.
Yeah.
And I just, ever since I've got into it and found the real truth and realized that He is truth, that I can't help but to share it, whether I'm on the, talking about it here on a microphone or, you know me in real life. And I just got to tell folks because, there for 30 years, and I've said this over and over, but I mean, it means a lot to me. I mean, it's my everything.
Sure.
Because I just didn't know that there was a truth. I mean, I didn't know there was anything that I could really hold on to, and I had no peace in my life because of that. And, death scared me. And I mean, just so much fear, opposite of everything that's good, opposite of peace, opposite of all this stuff. And ever since I found it, I just want to let everybody know. I mean, I don't know if he's, got me to do that because, I couldn't stand, before I got to know him, I used to couldn't stand people because I was like, they're shoving it down my throat and that's all they ever talk about. And good gravy, can they find anything else to talk about besides Jesus or any of this other stuff? But, I've become one of those people that just, that's all. I mean, that's me. I mean, it's my life. And I just, I'm just.
Well, don't you think that you were turned off, man, not necessarily by people talking about Jesus, but the way they did it? That's what turned me off. Like, I always wanted to know more about Jesus. Like, I really did. I was intrigued by everything about him, but the way that he was talked about to me seemed fake.
Yeah, and it was always the same thing over and over. It never asked the real questions.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that ever since I've got to know him, I've had some doubts, and he's answered every one of them, but I question everything. I used to remember people's, don't ask questions or, and I hardly hear it anymore. There's a lot of people asking questions, but there's not a lot of people getting a lot of answers, because they just don't, you never hear hardly anybody preaching on TV or whatever, talking about revelation or what happens after death. Or any of that stuff. The Bible answers these questions, or it gives us a little glimpse of what the answer is,
And Daniel, if we're not supposed to have any questions, why does he give us all these answers?
Yeah, that's true. I never thought about that.
Like, seriously, if that wasn't the deal, he would just say, repeat this sentence and you'll be saved. Yeah. And he wouldn't answer any of these deep, longing questions that we
Why is the book so thick?
That we all have. Because he goes deep, man.
Oh, as deep as you want to go.
I mean, his teachings are completely deep. And then when you get to Paul's applications of his teachings, that's why I get frustrated when people act like I'm going too deep or something, because I'm like, actually, when you look at Paul and the Bible and Jesus, I'm really not even coming close to going deep enough. Like, I'm really shallow. Like, he's pushing me for more. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty wild too, man.
He is. I mean, you got to think, he is all wisdom, all knowledge. I mean, he it's nothing that he hasn't. I mean, he's thought of everything. I mean, it's all he is thought, really.
That's
and it just
exactly
kind of,
right.
It just, it's just, oh gosh, it just blows my mind how much it's as deep as you want to go, and it's so deep that we couldn't go it. Our little human minds cannot even comprehend all this other stuff.
If the Lord allows me and you to do it, you and I to do it, we could set up here and do this if he gives us, like my great-grandfather lived 103. If he does that, we could set up here till we're 103 every week talking about it, and we would it was like counting the sand on the seashore, man. You just can't count his thoughts, And I did want to get into some other deeper.
Who would? I mean, I don't want to interrupt you, but
no, we're just chilling.
I am so thankful for that, because who would want a God you could figure out?
He wouldn't be God.
It wouldn't be God. It'd just be another man.
Yeah, but he gives you enough to keep you searching and enough to answer every question. Yes. But there's still always more that you'll never be able to get.
And I thank you for that, because it's just so awesome. I'm one of those that just. And I think we all are. We're all searching for answers, and we're all just, he's made us that way. We're all just wanting to know, and we're so happy in our little cell phone, go to work kind of lives. But then, deep down, we all want more. We all want a meaning, and we all want worth, and we all want, we just want. And he can supply all that, and it's just amazing when you get in there. Just I get excited, and I get kind of almost Looney Tune crazy.
Well,
really,
like childlike.
Just like a little kid, just like it's Christmas. I find a verse in here. I'm still in John.
Yeah.
And I'm digging through 14, 16, and 17. And I've mentioned this before in some of the shows because I've read these before.
Yeah.
But it's just something every time.
Meet you 17, right where you're at.
Yeah. 17 has got to be my favorite chapter in the whole Bible. And of course, I say that every time I'm in another book. I'm like, yeah, this book is my favorite book.
Me too.
But 17, it has just stuck out to me for the last couple of years more than any other chapter in any book in the Bible. John chapter 17,
yep.
Regular John,
yep.
chapter 17. It is just him talking to the Lord, him talking to his Father, just Jesus praying. That is the Lord's Prayer. That is the Lord's Prayer. We got what people call the Lord's Prayer. That's the disciples' prayer because he's teaching the disciples how to pray. But it's the Lord's Prayer, John 17. And I've not got to it yet. I'm actually 14, 15, and 16. There's so much in that because Jesus is speaking in that. If you read 14, 15, and 16, it'll plumb blow your mind just in that. And I ended 16 this morning, and I said, I'm going to wait because 17, I don't want to read this, walk out the door and go be real.
Right.
Because 17 is just, you get a glimpse of the Lord talking. You hear so many times through the Gospels, Jesus going to a mountain, Jesus going up onto the mountain to be by himself, Jesus going out in the garden to pray, to be by himself. You get a little bit of a glimpse right there when he goes into the garden of what he says to the Lord. He's like, please let this hour pass from me. But 17, the whole chapter is him talking to his Father. And it's just...
he's exposing his heart, man, bare.
Where else is that? Everywhere else he's talking to us. He's talking to the disciples. He's talking to the apostles. Even in Revelation, he's talking to John, and he's woe to the churches and all this stuff. But in 17, he's actually praying to the Father. I mean, there's other places where he prays, but it's like a line or two, here and there. Father in heaven, thank you. But this is a whole chapter of just the Lord pouring himself out for us.
Yeah.
For us, because he's getting ready to get on that cross.
It's sure not a canned prayer, is it?
No, it's just, and there's so much in there. I mean, you have to read this thing slow. You can go hop, skippity, jump through 14, 15, 16, and 17. You can really go through it and just keep going. I was actually trying to finish John. I just got me another Bible, and I want to finish John, then I want to go back to Matthew and read through John in this other version. But I was just like, I can't speed through this. This is just, I'm chewing and just, this is ribeye steak.
Yeah. I think, man, the key is...
Or top sirloin or whatever. What's the filet mignon?
Yeah.
But my favorite's ribeye, so this is ribeye to me.
Ribeye to you, dude.
Yeah.
I think the key is being in it every day, no matter how you're doing it or what you're doing. If you give yourself over to it every day, he's going to speak to you. And that's just a quick point. What's more important than hearing his voice?
Nothing.
And then you put the word with the Spirit, you're worshiping. And that brings me to yesterday, man. I had kind of a real great moment, man, a spiritual kind of peak moment, man. It was really cold. I was out cutting wood. I cleared these trees, man. I'm trying to manage my property in the forest and everything, man. And
I know some clearage down in there. Did you do that? Was it down in here near the road?
No.
Oh, I don't know why.
I cleared that a while ago.
There.
I've been scraping the driveway and fixing that up. Things look a little different. But this was back up on the hill, man, where I've been kind of trying to clear out some stuff. Just cut down some trees to let the other ones come up. And, I do the firewood. So trying to just manage it, kind of like a garden. Yeah. Take certain plots and clear it out for firewood, let it all grow back. That's not the point of this story.
Sorry.
But no, I wasn't saying it like that. But I'm out there, and the reason why I said that is because I've cleared this out, and the sun is coming in there real bright. It's probably the warmest, sunniest spot I got, man, on the whole place because, we're shaded by the mountain a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just up there hanging out and cut wood and carrying stuff because I got to carry it a decent way. And just the sun hit me in a cool, it was really cold, man, a cold breeze, but that sun was warm. And it was one of those moments, man, where I just stopped. I don't even know how many minutes went by, but I just stood there with my eyes closed with the sun shining on my face. The cold breeze. And I was just like, I just was really taking it in, thankful to be alive.
Yes.
Thankful to feel that sun, thankful that he's given me heat. Thankful that I have life and freedom and liberty and just a relationship with him. And it kind of rocked my world, man, because I've been in the Bible reading, chewing, studying, and it was the Spirit, man. I'd been in the truth, and then when that Spirit hit me in just the realization, and I don't want to go on and on about it, but it was a big deal to me because I had this realization that I've had before, but it was like, right now, my life is perfect. Like, I have the exact mix. I'm a intellectual guy, man. I got to use my brain like hardcore. Like, if I'm not using my brain, I feel messed up. If I'm not using my body, I feel messed up. So it's like he's got me in this perfect place where I'm using my brain half time, then I'm going out working with my body, wearing myself out. Then he re-energizes my mind through that, and you have to have both. And me and you talked about that, how important that is. And I was just so thankful because we get caught up, like, my life looks like a failure really to the world, man. Like, I'm not any kind of success, or, I have no worldly success. I mean, I really have no money. Like, I mean, but we have everything we need and more.
Oh gosh,
and
yes.
I feel like I have
for nothing.
A great quality of life. And I was just really thanking him for life and just understanding it. And I didn't mean to drone on about that forever, but it was one of those moments. And I know you guys out there have all had those moments. I remember another time like that I had at the beach when I was maybe 19, and I got up and went to see a sunrise. And I'll never forget, I remember every detail of the whole situation just by myself out there watching it come up. And the same thing happened yesterday. It's something I'll never forget, just those times when you know that things are more than they seem.
Yeah, I love those. I love those.
They're
times.
Rare.
I kind of soak that in. It is rare. It is for me. My biggest thing is probably just, you don't have to. I go outside, and I can't stand the cold weather. I just really don't like cold weather, but there's a few things I do like about cold. One, I don't have to mow the grass.
Yeah.
That is great. I love it. Number two, no bugs.
Yeah.
Yay, no bugs. Freeze them all, kill them all, whatever. I can't stand the bugs.
Right.
Even though I know they're needed. But the third thing I like about winter, and it is the number one thing, is it seems like it's a whole lot clearer outside at night. And the stars are just, you can just seem like you can see everything.
It's amazing.
And I was just out there the other night. I love just to go out and accidentally go out and see it, or when I'm coming home and it's already late and I'm walking up and it's dark, or taking the dogs out, and then they go back inside because they're freezing, and I just stay out there, and I don't even think about the cold. I don't think about my toes freezing off or anything, and I just look up, and it's just, I don't know. I don't really, I used to think about how small we are. That's crossed my mind a bunch of times, and realizing how big the universe is. But I just look at it and I'm like, this is just, everything here in my little life I just see. I see my house and my Jeep, and I go to work, and I see my friends and hang out with my coworkers and at work, and, come over here and hang out with my family. And, this is my life, and I'm sitting here. But then I look at that and I'm just like, wow. I just look at, how big the universe is, and there you kind of get your own little glimpse of it. And I'm so small, it's just like, it's just really weird. It's kind of like one of those, like what you were just talking about, and when you start talking about
a moment.
I hit it. Yeah, it's just that moment, and you can have those moments. Just go out there and just, and that's just when I realize I'm just so thankful to him. I'm just like, thank you. This is just, it's just kind of like you realize your own life, or I don't really know how to put it into words. It's like your own mortality or something. It's just like, this is it. This is where I am, and it's right now. This is not yesterday. This is definitely not tomorrow. But here I am, right now. Here I am.
And man, in the modern world, being in the now is looked at as irresponsible. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what Jesus teaches. He teaches that you have to live in the now.
Mm-hmm.
he said, the future doesn't matter. The past doesn't matter. Now is all you've got.
Yeah.
But see, if you live that way, people actually treat you like you're weird, like that you're being irresponsible. You're supposed to worry about the future, and you're supposed to delve in
plans,
fixate on the past.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we have no life in the now, man.
It tears us up. I mean, it divides us. Because half of us, or maybe even 90% of us, is living in the past, and that 10% is living in the future. What part of us is living in now?
And that's all that matters.
It is.
See, if we trade the future and the past for the now, then we cancel. It's like algebra. We cancel out the now, and we don't have it. It's not. It doesn't exist because we trade it. And that's what I've talked about so many times in the research and the study I've done on memory. See, we've talked about that before, that whenever you're in the future or the past, you don't have a memory of the now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you have to be present, and that's not easy, and it's
not.
It's a fight, but you have to acknowledge that it's something worthy of obtaining, or you can never
be happy.
There's
no joy. There's no, peace, really. Mm-hmm. There's no peace whatsoever. You cannot get peace out of that. I mean, you can go back into your past and remember a point of peace, but you'll never have the peace right now.
Yeah.
You'll be worrying about that, how do I get back to that point?
You can't.
You can't.
You can just say, that was a good one, and I'm thankful for it. But you can never see. We try that's one of the things we do through tradition is we've had some big experience at one time where it made us feel good, and we had all those feelings. So instead of trying to just get that feeling with the Lord, we think that it's the thing that we did that gave us the feeling. So we keep trying to do the thing over and over. The feeling doesn't come. Yep. We can never repeat basically the first kiss, I mean, you can't go back. I still remember my first kiss with my wife,
Yeah, me too.
But you know what? We've had a lot better kisses even since then, even though we'll never have the first again.
Yeah.
But if I was trying to make every kiss the first one, I would be negating the ones that actually were better than the first. But see, that's what we do.
That's it.
And that's the fall of man, dude. We got to look.
Is.
I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night last night thinking about the fall of man. We could talk about all that. I mean, I got other stuff that's more pressing, but I was thinking about all these issues of it, and it was pretty interesting. I don't think that I'm supposed to talk about that right now, so we'll talk about something else. But
we'll get into it.
But I mean,
it'll happen when it happens.
Yeah, we have to look at ourselves as we really are.
That's the truth.
And admit that we are fallen, that mankind is fallen, and look at that. But see, that's the pride issue is we really don't want to admit that we're fallen creatures. We want to hold to the fact that we can obtain it. Me.
I'm just so thankful for him, that he's so loving, that he didn't really give us a chance. He gave us life.
Yeah.
I can say, well, he loves us so much that he give us a chance.
Right.
But it ain't really a chance. I mean, that's not a chance. That's eternal life.
Yeah.
I mean, he's given us everything. Yeah. He's given us everything. And to call it a chance is just to minimize it so little, and just like it's luck, or we just got lucky with God. No, that's not lucky. This has been planned the whole time. And he has that plan. And we have a choice. That's true, but I mean, he's there.
I just read that Psalm again this morning. Went back and read Psalm 139. Y'all read that. He's got it all worked out. But there's a couple of things I wanted to get into, man, quickly before we could. I just flicked one of those things. Man, this time when I'm on John in here. I got to go back to Matthew. Where's that? Sorry about that.
So you're digging back through the New Testament, right?
Yeah. I went through it all and took it in as a whole, and then now just going back in and chewing. Man, I more than halfway through Matthew again. But just going back, and I always study, man, all the other pieces too. Like if something comes, I just study. But this one, man, I'm not going to read all this, but like me and you have talked, man, we've read this thing a lot of times, and it meets you exactly where you're at, always speaks to you. And I got to the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees again. That's the man-made title. They didn't make titles or whatever, but it's at Matthew 16:5 through 12. And you guys check that out, because I'll just paraphrase it. They were asking him questions. He had said something about the yeast of the Pharisees. The disciples thought that he was talking about bread. They were doing like we do. They were making everything material. And he was teaching a spiritual lesson. And he asked them, and I felt like he was asking me that this time. I really got it. He's like, are you of little faith? He's like, don't you realize I wasn't talking about bread? Jesus was always annoyed with them having the material realm. And he was like, this is the part that got me this time. He's like, don't you remember what I did with the loaves and the fish and everything? He's like, he's telling them basically, stop thinking. It's basically back to that thing, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all this will begin. He's like, if you would stop focusing on the bread, I would give you bread. Why can't you see that I'm trying to teach you a spiritual lesson here?
Yeah.
And I just thought it meant so much to me, where it was that part where he was like, don't think that you have your lineage to fall back on to the Pharisees. He's like, God can raise children from Abraham from these stones. He's saying, I don't need you. I don't need any. I can do anything. And so that's what he was saying to me and to us and the disciples is, stop focusing on this material realm. You're created for a spiritual realm, and when you fully embrace the spiritual realm, you will be taken care of in the material realm. But if you go after the material realm and you forsake that spiritual realm, at the end, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
And so that actually segues me to the thing that we want to talk a little bit about, that you had sent me an email. We didn't know if it would come up.
Yeah.
I've preached on it, but I mean, throw it out there, man. It's this is going to be probably the most shocking. I've never even seen it on the internet.
I haven't either.
You know, but I'll go ahead and say it because it's the truth of the word.
It's just, well, we've me and you have kind of, I can't remember who brought it up, but we kind of talked about it, and then knowing the truth of the scripture, and me too, we kind of agreed that, hey, and we had this great big talk about it. It's been a while back, just me and you personally, and I was like, I have never talked about this with anybody else, but I had seen this reading through the scripture
very strongly,
because I'm still intrigued with death. What we call death, the spirit leaving the body and all this stuff. And it just it blows my mind still,
Can I preface this by saying that you and I are not the only people that have seen this?
Oh, yeah.
In the modern age, we might be the only one that we know that are saying it. I know there's a lot of other true disciples that are saying it out there. I know some other people that
do
know it. But this is what was preached, man, until sometime after the Civil War, probably around the 20s to the 40s, and somehow it got lost because it didn't itch people's ears. But this is the gospel that every disciple preached and what Jesus preached. And then this was what was preached in churches, man, church buildings all over the place until, the turn of the century or whatever. And then it started to get lost, but we're going to go ahead and unroot it and just throw it out.
This might need to be an extra, because I think this is really going to take some time.
I
think so.
We'll go extra. We'll go as deep as we have to in it. And for the people that really want to get crazy into all the verses, I preached a sermon on this on the radio, which I have queued up, man, that I'm going to throw on my message in a minute at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know when. Maybe it'll be this Sunday since it fits the show. But if people want to actually hear like a sermon on it and all of the verses laid out pretty hardcore, I think that it's powerful that what we're doing, the conversational aspect of it. But the people that don't believe, we still haven't even said what we're talking about.
No.
It's a cliffhanger. But the people that are like, they're live, they can't be. And that's a heresy, because this has ended a couple relationships that I've had with people when I came out and I said, this is what the Bible says, and I'm really sticking to this, and I don't understand all the aspects of it, but it's very, very, very clear what he says, and that we have to stand to it. And I've lost a lot of relationships. I say it and I hold to it, and they just can't handle it. They're they actually treat me like I'm saying a lie, something that isn't. And I can show you every verse, and I did in the sermon and all of that. So
it's all in the Bible. I mean, this is, you know, we hardly ever say, I mean, there's, of course, we have our lives on Be Real, and we come in here and we're just being real. But when we're speaking of the truth, you know, it's all from the Bible. And I mean, it's this, go back. You can get a Bible. Hopefully you have one.
Right.
Hopefully you're reading it.
Yeah.
And you can go back into this and look at it and see what it says to you.
Well, do you want to say it, man, or do you want me to?
I'll let you go ahead.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
I guess I can say it in one sentence, and right here is where
I don't know how to sum it up.
People are going to be, they're going to be like, they're going to freak out. I can already tell, man. But clearly
it
in the
freaks
Word,
me out.
and we'll show you all this stuff, and we've been through that, man. It messed me up.
Yeah, it messed me up.
When I first saw this, it made me study the Bible so much more.
Oh, yes.
Because what the Bible...
I kept seeing it. It wasn't just like one revelation and I got a truth and I was just like, what? You know, well, I think maybe that happened. I saw it somewhere and I was like, what? And then it happened again where I saw it in another part of the Bible and I was like, what? And then that's when I did a study on it.
Over and over.
Yeah, over and over and over. And that's when I did a study of where else is this in the Bible. And I mean, every time it would hit. I was making these notes. It would hit. And I was just like, whoa. And it'll take you all over the Bible. It really will. And you'll want to go, wait a minute. Does Jesus talk about this? Yep. Wait a minute. Does the Old Testament talk about this? Yep. Wait a minute. Does the book of Revelation hasn't happened yet? Does it talk about it? Yep. I mean, it's just...
And then you'll be so confused and so kind of tormented over what you've learned that you'll kind of
because it's opposite
spaz out for a little bit, and then you have to get in there and study to realize, and then he works it all out.
Yeah.
And he gave me a better sense of peace and understanding.
Oh,
and
yes.
Now what was shocking to me is very comforting.
It is very much more than what the man or the world gives you.
It was. But I'll go ahead and say it. What we're talking about is